Alright. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to more Great Ace Attorney. Yeah, picking up where we left off. I'm not sure if there's anything else we need to interact with here. Because, we go move. And, Iris still wants to look around here for something. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else here that... Yeah, nothing else here that's interactable. So... I guess, And yeah, we've exhausted all the stuff already. Well, I guess we can move. No, nobody's there. So, I guess they have more stuff down here that we need to look at? Probably. Let me just figure out exactly how we're supposed to be able to get back down. I'm going to use feet where I use them in Japan. It's about 9 meters. So you have been in London a year, Bruno. It's time you got used to our measurements. Yes, well... This thing is so tall the spectators at the front would just have seen a wall and nothing else. You probably thought they'd secured the best spot to watch from, only to be disappointed. There's a saying in Japan, the darkest spot is right under the lighthouse. I feel like it probably applies here. So that leads us upstairs. How do we go back downstairs? Is this the stairs down? I feel like once we go up here, we have to, like... Yeah, I don't see the stairs back down from here. I think what we have to do is go somewhere else and then go back. In order to access the lower floor. Seems like an oversight, but... I don't know. I could be overthinking it. Huh, it looks as though somebody dropped something behind the tree just here. Dropped or hit. What is this? Some part of the machine that exploded? Maybe. It could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps. What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this just in case. Oh look, what's this? A ripped piece of cloth. It's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. It's very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable. It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well. Maybe that means it has something to do with the explosion. Let's make a note of it while Ginny's mid-yawn. Ah, hey chat. So, just in case I'm overlooking something, you go upstairs by clicking on this, right? But is there a way to go from up here back downstairs? Because it doesn't seem like there's anything you can click on here in order to go back downstairs. Like, the stairs aren't visible on this end. So, like, the only way to go back downstairs is to go to a different location and then come back, right? So you have to do this. Seems like a minor oversight, you know? But I'm assuming... Okay, so that is the case then. Okay. Probably just an oversight. So that's why I got stuck the last session a little bit. The Crystal Tower. It's certainly an apt thing. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition. And it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan. It's funny because Japan is a modern skyscraper city nowadays. There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course there's an observation deck, but there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. But I heard you have to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors. Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw. And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut. Suddenly it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower. Apparently everyone's taking to the skies now to look down on the disaster area from above instead. But there's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now. Londoners must be very patient people. That's where the Cove ended up after his instant kinesis or whatever they call it, dead of course. And yet they're calling it the experiment of success. What's the wooden scaffold there for? The Carpus, our lads, set that up after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. Don't know really. Did you help to erect the scaffold then? Nah, lookout duties were my thing. Wandering around the exhibition and keeping a lookout for the fun stuff. Mind Gregson doesn't hear you saying that, or he'll give you the boot. It's incredible though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have bridged that gap by some sort of invisible kinesis? Runo, listen. What? What is it? I've been thinking. Harley might know something, might he? About what? About Mr. Reaper. About what happened to Lord Van Zeeks, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he? Here, this is what you need. What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket. Madame Tuspells. Is this supposed to mean something to me? You don't know it? It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We could go now if you like. No, we don't have time for visiting attractions today, Iris. We have a big trial tomorrow. But that's where Hurley is. What? At this popular London attraction? Yes. How is it that you know where he is? Hurley told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you, Runo. Madame Tuspells. I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but then... Yeah, it's Madame Tussauds, right? Well, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's the Wax Statue Museum. Yeah. Brand name. Stranger things have happened, and when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. Right. Jack the Ripper? What is this place? Look at all these terrifying scenes. But why are all the people so still? Guillotines. Ruthless murderers. I know what I'll be dreaming about tonight. Oh, is that Elizabeth Bathory? Guess that's the idea. They're all wax models. They're amazingly realistic, aren't they? What do you think, Bruno? Shocked? Wax models? Ah! I read about dead bodies in wax once, in a magazine about strange phenomena. Depending on how corpses are kept after death, parts of them can turn to wax, apparently. It's called Edipoke! Stop talking about creepy things like that, Bruno. You're scaring me. Anyway, Edipoke doesn't form readily, you know. It's only in very specific— Ah! What now? I've just remembered something else I read in another magazine about strange phenomena. There was an old lady, maybe a witch, who used to pour molten wax over corpses and put them on display. Adipocea. Okay, thank you. Thank you, chat. None of the exhibits in here are real. They're all entirely man-made replicas. It can't be! Do you really expect me to believe that? Just look at them! Oh. There's no way anybody could make models of people that are this realistic. And they're all such gruesome scenes. Wait. What is it? Oh. No. I must be seeing things. It's one of the ways used to determine time of death. Yeah, I did hear about that. Please do not touch the statues. Well, there's obviously a dead man over there. Ah, and a wax statue of Holmes. Well, he is famous, so I assume he'd have a statue. It's the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes has his own wax statue in here, really? Well, he is world famous after all. It's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it? It makes my skin crawl to look at it. I know. But look, Bruno, you can kick this Hurley and he doesn't move a muscle. The sprite animation. You can't go around kicking the exhibits, Iris. Wait. It just moved, I'm sure. And not just a little bit either. Hmm? Really? Did it? And look closely. There are beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. Shall we move on, Iris? Over there, look. That's a great murder scene to enjoy. Much more appealing.
Hold it!
My dear fellow, I take exception to you recoiling in such a manner as if you've seen something truly abhorrent. Mr. Sholmes! I knew it! He was a wax statue all along! He's not a human! Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you from divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Naruhodo. Temporary waxwork? What do you mean? And that kick! Could you not have exercised a little more restraint? You winded me! But Bruno has something he needs to ask you. Ah, a question. And I thought you'd probably be getting bored too. So here we are. Well, I can't deny that your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 minutes with more being stationary like that, and my great brain upon which all my success has been built would have turned to wax. Thank goodness we arrived in time. Indeed, in many ways, the pair of you just saved the world from an unimaginable loss. Oh, Hurley, you do like to talk nonsense, don't you? You could know something, it's true, about Lord Van Zeeks and what happened in the past to change him. Now that you're here, let's take our time. How can I be of assistance? Oh, you're in luck. I'm suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing. Oh, well, actually, I'm in quite a hurry. And if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot within the walls of this very museum. A most fascinating case, if I'm not mistaken. Really? Moreover, I have a strong suspicion that it is related to the matter about which you've come to me now. But how could it be? We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow. But for now, I must return to my work. What? Back to being a temporary waxwork exhibit? He certainly is still. Alright, I'm assuming this is Jack the Ripper. Is this an example of Western Tsujikiri? I don't know what that is. You know, when an unscrupulous samurai randomly attacks a passerby to test his sword. I still don't know, no. But actually, a waxwork samurai would probably be hugely popular. Could you model it, do you think, Runo? Doing that Tsujigiri thing you mentioned. Well, I do have a sword, but I've no intention of testing how sharp it is on a human subject. For now, at least. Oh, that's a funny place for a little ladder. What is it? Is something wrong? No, it's just that in Japanese, they have a totally different word for a ladder that folds in half like that. It's a step ladder! We do in English too, you know. It's a step ladder, or just steps. So be careful of making assumptions about other cultures, Runo. That's how wars are started. I didn't realize step ladders were an international point of contention, but the writer makes an astute point. Not this again. See what these two are. These models are so well made, I can't tell what's a waxwork and what's a real human. That's how Hurley gets away with making himself a temporary exhibit for the day. Maybe there are other people posing as exhibits in here then. Or maybe all the exhibits are real people. And when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about. Ugh. Just thinking about it makes me wish it was closing time already and I was on my way home. Five Nights at Freddy's! We're gonna ignore that for now. Elizabeth Bathory? Is this some infamous murderer? Yes, called Jane the Ripper. All her victims were young women. I knew it! You can't tell by the way she's holding the knife. Sure sign of a murderer. Well, yes. Ah! What's the matter, Runo? I've worked it out! I know what she's doing! She's trying to fill that bathtub with blood so she can have a soak in her victim's gore. Not according to the information about the exhibit on the little board here. It doesn't mention anything about the bathtub. Really? Sorry, I don't think it's significant. I still think it has to be there for a reason. Oh. Wow, they bamboozled me, chat. This is not Elizabeth Bathory, and this is not Jack the Ripper, apparently. What is this place? Madame Tuspels came to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Since she opened this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed great popularity in London. There are museums like this in Japan too, but these displays are something else. I mean, they aren't made from actual real people, are they? The extreme realism of these waxworks models is a particular secret of the Tuspels family, they say. They earned renown during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims of the guillotine. Is that true? Wait, is that actually true? Hang on. Created the first wax sculpture of Voltaire in 1777. She became an art tutor to Madame Elizabeth, sister of King Louis XVI. During the French Revolution, she was imprisoned for 3 months but subsequently released. During the Revolution, she made models of many prominent victims. So that's real. Huh. You learn something every day. I actually didn't know that. Huh. Ugh. That sounds grim. The gruesome scenes are portrayed with such realism in the expressions of the faces of the condemned. Apparently, the sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses, right there at the site of the executions. That really turns my stomach. That's just one of several legends about the Tuspels family. Whether there's any truth in it, I couldn't say. But anyway, this museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular area of the museum by quite some margin is this House of Horrors. House of Horrors? Of course, visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the Great Exhibition, but people usually flock here to see the exhibits of some of London's most vile criminals at their gruesome work. Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here were sent to the gallows. So they're even stiffer now than the models of them. Have you heard of poor taste? My dear fellow, the public live for poor taste. They yearn to be shocked. So, the hideous exhibits in here are... They're all portrayals of real events that actually took place. Is it just me, or did the temperature in here just seem to drop? Anyway, I advise you not to think too deeply about what you see here. Oh, it's back to being a waxwork, isn't it? Here, what do you think of this? Mr. Sholmes, would you have a look at this newspaper? You've been into my room and helped yourself, have you? Let's not turn this into a scandal, shall we? A scandal in Bohemia? Well, considering I've already read it, one thing immediately strikes me. This paper is old news. What will possess you to show me this? What's done is done. You must distinguish, my dear fellow. Distinguish the old from the new. There are some conversations you wish you never started. About this. As you will see, I'm rather busy at the moment. If it's advice you seek, come to my office tomorrow and I shall be happy to help you. Shall we say... Tuppence per item as a consultation fee? That's 2 hours of gas, that is. I like how he just keeps fitting back into this. I'm gonna see if he's got... I'm just gonna see if he reacts to any of these. Okay, no, he doesn't have anything to say about any of this stuff. What do you mean by a temporary waxwork, Mr. Sholmes? Exactly what you see. I'm part of the exhibits here, catching these criminals in the act. Catching them? Every half an hour, I home in on a different killer in one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For a shilling, I'll happily allow them to take a photograph with us. Us? Does it mean him and the waxwork murderers in here? But why, Mr. Sholmes? My dear fellow, isn't it obvious? For the money! He really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors. As it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent, and I have the Raven Osiris to consider. Oh, Hurley, I'm so hungry. If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you to do your bit, Mr. Naruhodo. What's he threatening to rope me into now? So, with that in mind, how about a photograph? As a special treat, you may have your pick of the murderers and scoundrels in here. The choice is yours. Maybe some other time. Remember, Mr. Naruhodo, ignore me at your peril. Back to being a waxwork again. Is it just me, or did his final remark sound a lot like a curse? Is he I mean, that can't be it, right? He's not just here to earn money. He's just being funny about it. Well? What is it you'd like to ask me then? Actually, it's about Lord Van Zeeks. Ah, our friend Mr. Reaper. How did you find him? Well, I trust... Yeah, he is Sherlock Holmes. And so I feel with Mr. Sholmes in about everything I've learned. About Lord Van Zeeks, about Professor Harebrain, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at university together. Yeah, it's that arm I'm ignoring. So I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Van Zeeks such a different person. Well, Naruhodo-san. You see, Lord Van Zeeks was a carefree young boy, but he was caught in an elevator with his father. And there was an earthquake, and the power was knocked out. And they were in there together with a court bailiff. And the bailiff started going a little bit crazy because of the lack of oxygen in the elevator. And Barak Van Zeeks grabbed that bailiff's gun and threw it at him. Unfortunately, the gun went off and shot his father. And that's why Lord Van Zeeks is an emo boy. I didn't know how to end that. I was sure that you know, Hurley. You said there was something going on here in this exhibit hall before. That something was afoot. And that you believed it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. Mr. Sholmes. He suddenly clammed up. Well, it seems we've reached the unavoidable... Greetings? Huh? Oh, hello. Where did she appear from? And what's she wearing? Does she look any more mysterious? I hope you're appreciating my museum. Sorry, have we... Mr. Sholmes, do you know this... Not again! Damn it, we got interrupted. My apologies, I am Esmeralda Tuspels. This is my museum of waxwork. What? You're the Madame Tuspels? Bien, sir. Though only 26 years young, I might add. Is that significant somehow? I'm a madame in name only. And that's a certain je ne sais quoi. Right. Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks. Or rather, one waxwork in particular. That'll be Mr. Sholmes then. I was led to believe he was a great detective, but he seems unable to settle. Next time you move from your designated exhibit, there will be Toyo in trouble. That's funny. She sounds deadly serious. That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Sholmes about Lord Van Zeeks now? Let's not forget what Hurley said before. About something being afoot. Right here in the museum, I mean. Yes, I know, but... I'm so curious. I want to know what's happening here. Haven't we got enough on our plate already? Oh hey, we can converse with her. Here, madame, take a look at my armband. Madame, there's something I'd like to show you. Yes, what is that? I remarked on it to myself immediately and I've been very curious since. Oh, well, it's actually the mark of a defense lawyer in the Empire of Japan. Oh, Cœur de Mague. Not quite as interesting as I hope. I'm probably butchering all the French, but whatever. What exactly were you expecting from an armband? I'll show you this. Fascinating, it was made of wax. No, sorry. It's a piece of evidence. Why would you want to show me this? You can only wax lyrical about wax, is that it? Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tuspels? I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh. It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. Though that is when she acquired the savoir-faire that leads to the astonishing lifelikeness. All these waxworks really do look as though they are alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All the waxworks were created in the presence of the real people on which they are modeled in the hours immediately following their executions. That is the secret to the extraordinary lifelikeness. That sounds terrifying. All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see. Why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying? Do not fear. Sorry? This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians. Something for every taste, I hope. It was Iris who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it. Sorry, perhaps I should have eased you into things. I'm wondering if this is a historical character too now. Like, I mean, not counting the slight rename. Oh, wow. In 1835, they settled down in Baker Street and opened a museum. One of the museum's main attractions was the Chamber of Horrors. Sod appears to have originated it herself using in an advertising as early as 1843. Wow, I'm learning so much today. This is actually real stuff. And it really is a list of a bunch of murders. That's really interesting. Oh, chat, you're gonna love this. This is really funny. It is really funny. So, the chamber closed on 11th April 2016 and was replaced by a new attraction named the Sherlock Holmes Experience. So Sherlock Holmes was actually a wax figure in this very room. This was in 2016, so I guess they knew about it? When was this game made? 3DS era, right? So it has to be out. Yeah, I think that was after. So is that a reference? It might be a reference. They've changed it back now since October 2022. October 22 and they've gone back to Chamber of Horrors, but that's really funny that they actually had Sherlock Holmes in there. In this very room. That's funny. Oh, there was no waxwork figure of Jack the Ripper originally in the Chamber of Horrors, in accordance with Madame Tussauds policy of not modeling persons whose likeness is unknown. Instead, he was portrayed as a shadow. Wow, so the fact that that's not Jack the Ripper is also accurate. Huh. That's really interesting. Okay, I can't find any information about whether this person is a real person. Looks like in the around this time period, the museum's manager is was the grandson of Madame Tussauds, John Theodore Tussaud. Okay, well, my satisfaction has been my curiosity has been satisfied. And I hope you guys learned something interesting too, because that was actually really informative. I enjoyed that. Alright, let's keep going. What's the situation with that? Ah, my temporary waxwork model. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal. Oh, what sort of proposal? My dear madame, what these sparse exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective. Or words to that effect. Naturally, I am well aware that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective. It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it. Yes, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree terms. Let me guess. Someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services? For a mere £500. I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment! Or words to that effect. Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch. Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to the current arrangement instead. Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing though, does he? I would think not, but he was very insistent. I have a 50-shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning. Or words to that effect. It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem. Is the consulting detective work not going so well? I wonder, could I ask you something? Lindsay, I'm just curious, is there anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps? Whoever suggested such a thing to you? Oh, well, it was your temporary waxer over there who mentioned it to me a little... Oh! He's disappeared. A wax bottle is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade. Ah! There you are. Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working. Do you wish to be melted down? My dear Madame Despair, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem we must throw into the melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police. Why ever not? She's turned as white as a sheet. Because you have at your disposal a great detective, whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer... No, I insist upon payment in advance. Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we? Before I engage my analytical process, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain? That is the Tuspel special exhibit. There is an extra charge to see it. Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. You must depict a special killer then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder? Ah, absolutely none. There is nothing amiss behind there. Nothing amiss, madame. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? Ah. I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond, before the situation worsens. Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a second. I am screwing up all this French. I don't know how to speak French. I must confess, the peek behind the curtain earlier. The Tuspel special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however, is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor. Wait, that guy looks familiar. Well then perhaps, Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself. I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman. Not even a waxwork, in fact. What? As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. That's one of the jurors, right? Isn't it one of the jurors from the past case? I seem to remember. So, allow me to present my two conclusions. The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in this special exhibit. Why? Well, why would you say that? And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime. Ah! She looks as pale as candle wax. I don't understand. So, Madame Dispels, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously Greek detective and temporary exhibit at work. Alright, game is afoot. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. In my estimation, some 200 pounds. That is all my own money. So what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance would cast, it would seem, Madame Dispels. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that public notice. Waxwork for sale. Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer, the centerpiece of your special exhibit, for the sum of 200 pounds. Wait a second. Is the so-called teleported body a wax figure? Now that idea's in my head. No! Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Unfortunately, madame, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was the cause? The 200 pounds! It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively. Well, what are you suggesting? He rashly agreed to purchase the wax for the sum of 200 pounds. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result, the scene you see before us. He collapsed in shock. Yes, the killer in the special exhibit fetched the killer price. We can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret. Funny, funny. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment. You cannot possibly... What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief. Such as is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman currently investigating this museum. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay. Oh, that's a reference! Chat, that's a reference. That's one of the villains in one of the cases. John Clay. What are you talking about? The man's quite a celebrity. Received triple accolades at the RCS Policing Awards. But... next, we turn our attention to the old man set before him with a particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely and he hasn't moved a muscle. Almost, in fact, as if he were a waxwork. But you... Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madame. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious price tag. tripans. A tragically low price, you might say. But perhaps the going rate for aging waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. The sort of plucky behavior is sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madame? I do not... Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police, and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. I see you have stunned the woe into silence. You have, Hurley, you have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot. If I could just bring up 1 point, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the notorious Naruhodo 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow. According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So, that would mean that he's the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman, Otomo. Sorry? It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether. And it turned out the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Otomo. So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there is supposed to be? Indeed. It is a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well. But is £200 a lot of money for a wax model? It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages if that puts things in perspective. So, it is quite a lot then. Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down? That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous. The smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me. Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so I think I might have to call on your assistance here, Iris, if that's alright. To make some minor corrections to the great detectives to great deductions. Of course it's alright. We'll soon set things straight. Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Dispels vents her anger. Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Dispels, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. £200 for a car, yeah. That's how it was back then. Yeah, he's doing it on purpose. He wants, he's roping us in. He's just having fun. She definitely looked in this direction, it's true. But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks, even for £200. Oh? She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything. For that much money, I would. But it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Oh well, anyway. I wonder if the £200 could have some other significance. Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it. Well, can I take a closer look at it? Waxwork for sale. Would anyone really buy models of mass murderers? I think I'd rather have £200 in my pocket. Exactly. You could buy one of those brand new types of steam carriage. That's what I'd spend it on if I had it, no question. Ooh, I'll buy all the herbs in the world. There must be another explanation for the money. We need to keep looking. It seems this well-dressed gentleman is alive after all, just not alive and kicking. And he's not a waxwork or a model of a mass murderer. I'm not sure I'd pay £200 for him. I don't think the man's up for sale. Well, anyway, it was a silly place to put him. Other museum visitors could easily trip. I don't think the man was put here on purpose either. Is there really only 2 things to interact with? Well...
Take that!
That wasn't it either. All we need to do is wake him and we'll have our answer. But no need to deduce anything. Shirking of that nature will hasten the end of the world, Mr. Naruhodo. The end of the world. And there is a distinct possibility that the man has no knowledge of the money anyway. Ah. So, do you cause the destruction of our planet? Or continue with the deduction process? The choice is yours. Looks like I better get back to saving the world then. Opponent just in the wrong place at the wrong time, it seems. There's no doubt the minute spells did react to what was shown to see. I don't see anything. Oh, this scene is rotatable. I was trying to like move it around and I couldn't see it. Okay, there it is. What's that note doing pinned on the wall there? Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tuspells, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for his safe return is £200. Have the money ready by noon on 23rd October. What? This is. It's just like the sort of thing that's left behind when someone is kidnapped. Yes, it's a ransom note. Exactly. Well, there we go. I was trying to move it around with the left stick. It wasn't moving, but I think I was trying to rotate it to the left instead of the right. The significance of the £200 is revealed by that ransom note. Quite so, and we must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness abducting a waxwork. Ah. £200 is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have. In summary then, the £200 you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is? We could just ask him when he comes around. I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris. Yes, you're right. Harley's trying so hard, we mustn't let him down. Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock. That much seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tuspells trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. A hand! Speed! Speed! Oh hey, we can actually see the other side of the room, I just noticed. They actually modeled it, you know? I mean, it's not super complicated, obviously. It's all just flat texture back there. But they actually modeled it for when we speed. Speed. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put the blame on me. Don't put the blame on me. This is just Madame Tuspel's right hand, isn't it? Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all. Oh, but wait a minute. This is a left hand as well, look. Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please. And it seems very stiff, too. In fact, it's really hard. You mean... it's made of wax? Hand up and down. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand. Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you? The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be a right hand, but closer inspection reveals that in fact, it's a left hand. Ah! And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madame. It is the hand of a waxwork model. Ah! Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage. So you mean that arm? Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try to remove it as a souvenir. No small keepsake. Like taking a whole branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms. I'm afraid I had to teach the man a lesson. You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back. And the result? That scene we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later. But for the time being, we have a conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment. You cannot possibly... Right, yeah, it is the same dialogue, yeah, so let's just keep moving. According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to the policeman that some crime is underway. A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity, yes. It's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard. That Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away. Well, uncovering secrets isn't any true detective's nature, of course. Right. Anyway, judging from Madame Tuspel's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. Ah. What the? The man has a stub sticking out of his shoulder where his arm should be. Ah, but it settles that then. Right, this isn't a real person at all. His entire arm's been ripped off from the shoulder down. His arm's been... Of course, that ties in with what we just found out.
Take that!
Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his shoulder stuff. No such boneless human walks this earth. Of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant John Clay, is in fact, defying all odds, a waxwork model. I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes. He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man. Naturally, what other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turn our attention to the old man set before him. Now, the price tag's on the scarf, not him. A killer policeman. called Otomo, was it? Was he well known? It was all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's a very low price though. Tuppence isn't much money. Only enough for a few measly hours of gas and Mr. Garrett's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this is the special killer to give her the special exhibit, is it? The waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for 200 pounds. Is this crusty old killer policeman Ultimo? Really? Perhaps we should have a good look around again, if another idea crops up. £3. It's a far cry from 200 pounds, isn't it? For £3, you could buy it and put it on display in your room, Bruno. I think I'd rather not go to sleep being watched by an old man if it's all the same to you. This price tag does stand out, doesn't it? I mean, you couldn't even buy the helmet on his head for that much money, I don't think. I wonder what the price tag's really for then. Hey, he's, the dude is stimming. Look at this! The old man's tapping his foot like crazy. He seems to be fast asleep, though. He's not tapping his foot consciously, then. So you mean... It must be a twitch! He's autistic! I mean... Nah, I'm joking. Never mind that. The point is, waxworks don't tap their feet. Or twitch. And look at his arm, too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we?
Take that!
The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious twitch. Even the most realistic waxwork do not exhibit a twitch. In other words, this splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives, then. And there you have it. Well, Madame Dispels? Well, what? It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come in the first place. He is clearly fatigued. He is sound asleep. But then, what's this tag about showing a price of £3? No doubt the price tag of the muffler, which the old Bobby purchased recently at a local market. And I presume you've observed the scarf tied around his arm. Does it not strike you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is currently underway. Of course, because, as you know, there has been just such criminal activity happening here. As you deduced from the very beginning, Detective. So, it would seem that we finally arrive at the truth. The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. And Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Elementary. All sorts of people visit my museum here, men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in just for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway, your great deduction was even more enchanting than I had been led to believe. It was a pleasure, my dear madame. I'm gratified that you enjoyed the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I've no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display, if it was indeed genuinely abducted. Yes, tragically it was. Then I would ask you to recount to us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork, in as much detail as possible, if you please. Very well. But after I have told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work. The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please. It was some days ago now, when I came in here one morning. I immediately noticed that a waxwork was missing from the special exhibit here. It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place. The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then. So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose. Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. A killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other, I would say. The Professor. Professor Moriarty? Professor Moriarty, eh? We're bringing this in. Alright. Now we're getting into the Holmes weeds. Not a name I've heard of. So, Mr. Naruhodo, it seems the circle is complete. Sorry? The Professor case happened at around the time I was born, didn't it? Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes, at exactly the time that Baruch Van Zieks graduated from university, in fact. What? Surely he's not saying. So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life. As you surmised, it was the Professor case. Who was this Professor then? Moriarty? It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death. Oh, Moriarty's dead, and now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at present, on account of the abduction. But I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Van Zieks? You must first understand, my dear fellow, why is it that the Professor earned such a thing? It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest. What do you mean, Hurley? Those murdered by the Professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty. It sent shockwaves through the country's administration. Members of the... Ah! Wait, of course! What Professor Harebrained said. Lord Van Zieks is from a family of noble blood. Oh gosh! It was the 5th victim that led to the Professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of... Clint Van Zieks. No. I don't believe it. Van Zieks? I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Baruch pursued a career as a prosecutor. Ah, so that's him on the wall then, his brother. And eventually, became the Reaper we know today. I had no idea Lord Van Zieks had such a tragic past. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say of the matter. For the time being, at least. After all, I have work to do. As a Westwork exhibit, I am afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well. Oh yes, of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involve you coming to visit me here. It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Baruch. It's been 10 years. And here we are, meeting in a prison of all places. I can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Asman. I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen. Tomorrow, the court will decide. Yes. I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident. A terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it. I must warn you. Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you? Yes. Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Baroque, are you really... What? Never mind. I know that you have my best interests at heart. A friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else. Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Baroque. Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court. Interesting. You showed up to talk to him. To be continued. And we're heading into trial tomorrow. Cool. So at this point, are we back to investigation trial, or is it well, it says trial part 1, I guess. So I guess it'll be investigation trial, right? Like normal. Because it definitely seems like we don't have enough clues to go on with to get a good idea of how this thing ends. Alright, chat. Yeah, we're gonna take a break from now, but we'll be back soon enough to start the trial. Looking forward to it. A lot of interesting things have been introduced. Potential morality figure has been brought up, so the plot thickens and the game is afoot. Alright, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys around soon. Peace.